This is MTG Burgeoning, and in this video we are going to update and upgrade our Garth One Eye Artifact Tokens Matter EDH deck. Welcome to another installment of the Up and Up series. Today we're updating and upgrading Garth One Eye. In the description of this video you will find links to this build's deck tech, the up to the moment deck list, and the video primer series. We have 4 cards going in and 4 cards coming out, and we're going to kick things off with Farmer Cotton. Here we have a Selesnya X spell, X a green and a white. It's a 1/1 halfling peasant, and when it enters the battlefield, we create X 1/1 white halfling creature tokens and X food tokens. We're more interested in the food tokens because of the synergies we have throughout the 99 in this build. But having those additional halfling creature tokens, well, we're not going to be harmed by that in any way. So here we have a mass food and halfling creature token producer, which is going to make Garth and all of its synergies so much happier. With Farmer Cotton going in, the card coming out, well, it's Ragavan. Yeah, we know your reputation, Ragavan. You are a 2/1 monkey pirate. We can cast you for a red mana, or we can dash you into play for generic and a red, and when it deals combat damage to a player, we create a treasure token, and then we exile the top card of that player's library, and until end of turn, we may cast that card. So what we're looking for here is the overall theme of the build. If the synergies are creating artifact tokens, well, Ragavan is a little slow at doing that. Farmer Cotton's going to come down and do that in spades, and there's pretty much very little chance that Ragavan is going to create as many artifact tokens throughout his lifespan on the battlefield and during the game as Farmer Cotton's enter the battlefield trigger. That's pretty much the reason why Ragavan's going out and yielding his spot to Farmer Cotton. All right, card number 2 going into the 99 of this build. It is, there it is, Tangle Trove Kelp. Here we have a 6/6 artifact creature. It's a clue plant, 5 and 2 blue mana with ward 2. So it's a rather pricey investment here of 7 overall mana. It doesn't have any evasion. It does have the protection of ward 2, but it's also an artifact creature, which makes it more susceptible to spot removal. So it better do something very, very good in this deck to warrant its inclusion, and it does. At the beginning of each combat, note, at the beginning of each combat, other clues we control become 6/6 plant creatures in addition to their other types until end of turn. Yes, that does open our clues up to creature removal, but clues are just one of the many different kinds of artifact tokens we make in this deck. This is not a clue-specific or clue-themed build. Clues are a part of it, but that's not all we're running in this deck. So by opening them up to the potential for sorcery speed removal, we'll take that chance, because to have the ability to block down our opponent's creatures with some 6/6 clues, or to send some 6/6 clues into combat, that just opens up a whole world of combat headaches for our opponents, and it's a card that I think we will welcome into this deck with arms wide open. Of course, gameplay will be the determining factor to see if Tangle Trove Kelp stays in the 99, or if its admission is just short-lived. With this clue plants going into the deck, coming out is Lonus Cryptozoologist. So we have 1 clue-specific creature going in and replacing another. Here we have a 1/2 for Simic colors, and whenever another non-token creature enters the battlefield under our control, we investigate. And to investigate, we pretty much just create a clue token. And then we can tap Lonus and sacrifice X clues to have target opponent reveal up to the top X cards of their library, and we may put a non-land permanent card with mana value X or less from among them onto the battlefield under our control. That player puts the rest on the bottom of their library in a random order. A couple of thoughts on Lonus. First, this is not a deck that's teeming with non-token creatures. We don't have 40-some-odd non-token creatures that can come down triggering Lonus to create some clues. Plus, to tap Lonis to activate its ability to sacrifice our X clues, we really have no idea what's going on the top of our opponent's library, and it's always a risk because you never know what's going to be there. Did we just lose a bunch of clues to get almost nothing out of it? Remember, it's a non-land permanent card, so if we're looking at a spell slinger deck, we may completely whiff. I would rather keep the focus on what we're doing on our side of the battlefield and our library versus the randomization of looking at an opponent's library. So that's why we're going to put the clue-specific Kelp in place of the clue-specific Lonis. All right, card number 3 going in. It is Adrix and Nev Twincasters. Finally, we got a copy of this to jam into the 99 of our Garth build. 2/2, Ward 2, 2 in Simic colors. If one or more tokens would be created under our control, twice those many tokens are created instead. Note that it says one or more tokens and does not specify creature tokens. So this will work for all of the artifact tokens that we make throughout this deck. Adrix and Nev is going to act as a pseudo doubling season here, and it is going to help us to produce even more of those oh so wonderful artifact tokens. With Adrix and Nev going into the 99, coming out is Urza, Lord High Artificer. Now here we have Urza, 1/4, 2 and 2 blue, so the overall mana value is the same. And when Urza comes into play, we create a 0/0 construct artifact creature token that gets +1/+1 for each artifact we control. We can tap an untapped artifact we control to add a blue mana, which is nice to pay the blue costs of spells that we have and abilities and the generic mana cost as well. We can pay 5 to shuffle our library and then exile the top card, and until end of turn we may play that card without paying its mana cost. So I think in a vacuum, Urza is most likely the better card over Adrix and Nev. I'm not going to dispute that at all. In the confines of what we're trying to do in this deck, Adrix and Nev is going to do more for us than what Urza can do. We already have ways in which to utilize our artifacts to give us mana, so we're not really losing out on that. The construct token that Urza creates when it comes into play, that's not going to be that big of a deal for us either. Doubling every token that we create in this deck doubling every token that we create with Adrix and Nev, that's going to have a much longer lasting feel on the battlefield than anything that Urza can do for us, outside of trying to create some combo where we can get infinite mana and then just play every single card from our deck by paying 5 and shuffling, but that's boring and Garth would want no part of that. So Adrix and Nev in, Urza is out. All right, one more card going in, and that is Balin the Haymaker. We got Naya colors for a 4/3. We can tap 2 untapped tokens we control to add 1 mana of any color, so already we're putting in a different way in which to use that mana. Not as efficiently as Urza, but still it's an option. Tap 3 untapped tokens we control, draw a card. Tap 4 untapped tokens we control to put 3 +1/+1 counters on Balin, and it gains trample until end of turn. Note that all of those abilities are tapping tokens and not specifically creature tokens. With Balin going in and acting as an overall resource, we're going to pull out one of the many different win conditions in Comet Storm. The multi-kicker bomb in red is going to be replaced by Balin, and the thought process is we have so many ways in which to win in this deck that we can slightly weaken it by taking out Comet Storm and putting in a card like Balin that will allow us to keep cards flowing into our hand, keep the ability to use our tokens for mana, and if needed, we can make Balin huge and send it into combat. Of course, you'll let me know about your thoughts on these changes in the comment section below. This is MTG Burgeoning, your channel for all things Magic.